Well, if I can give people a recommendation, man, I would strongly advise certain people to start looking into like loan forgiveness and assistance programs. I guess we could start with the basics as far as like income driven repayment plans. If you know that it's well out of your scope of paying for anything, I would strongly advise you to more or less try to get into an income driven repayment plan. I think that that would be very suitable for you prior to COVID or prior to the break and the break period, I would like to call it. I was on the income driven repayment plan and,
I was
so
too.
yeah, like that actually saves you, you know what I'm saying? Rather than you paying like what, like a Mercedes Benz car note on your student loans, man, like something ridiculous. So I would highly advise you to do so, but also look for any advantages that you can find. When I started and got my what you call quote unquote big boy job, that I was working in a public service environment. So I was working for the government. And so I qualified for the service loan forgiveness. And for anybody that is in public service, I think you should definitely try your luck at that. And with me being in that program, the rule of thumb is you put in 10 years. And after those 10 years or those 120 payments, your loans will be forgiven. Now, the good thing is, after years and years of no action being taken on those people that well surpassed that, there has been some motion on those people that were well overdue. And actually, some of those people got their money back from overpaying as long as you had the credentials and all the information that you needed to, supply with them to say, like, hey, I'm entitled for a refund. Hey, I'm entitled for loan forgiveness. So, with that being said, I'm in that program. I'm going through the process and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest, the process ain't easy. They make it hard. It's not even just the customer service or people that you deal with. It's it's everything. The paperwork and everything. Like I even went to the IR. I give you an example. I went to the IRS and got some W-2 information, and then they come back and tell me that I need the exact W-2 that came from the employer. And
Hey, wow.
I'm like, how does that
Wow.
supersede the IRS? You see my social security information here. You see the exact amount of money that I made in that allotted time that I submitted for you. And you still say I need some more documentation. That's wild. So
So
go ahead,
I want to ask you a question about this, Joe.
go
So
for it.
what do you think public service, student loan forgiveness, what does that indicate for you as far as why that's being offered to people who do public service type jobs? Why do you think that's being offered to that particular subset of people?
I feel like you owe them. You know what I'm saying? They're serving the greater good, in my opinion. It's not necessarily a for-profit thing when you're working in public service. It's not. It can be in some capacities, but realistically, if you're doing public service, man, literally, like I feel like you shouldn't even have to pay for your student loans. Because imagine being a teacher and you worked all this time and you're not even getting paid that much coin anyways if you're just a teacher. I'm not talking about like a principal or administrator or anything like that, just a teacher. You're pretty much at a set rate and you're kind of locked in a certain set rate until you like really put in some time. And even when you put in that time, it's still not enough because say you have kids now and you have a home now, you know what I'm saying? You got other things that come into play. It kind of like doesn't do anything for you. So honestly, what I'm trying to say is like, for those people that really like wake up every morning and they give their hard on time and their effort into giving back to their communities or whatnot, or the community that they're serving, whether they lived outside the community, but they work in this specific district or however you want to phrase that. I think they do owe some kind of merit. And you know what I'm saying? If they're not going to get paid that much salary wise, how come they can't be compensated in a way where they don't have as much debt? I feel like that's valid. But there's valid arguments against it too. But I think that that's very valid considering the type of service that's there. And we're not even talking about social work. We're talking about teachers. So just think along those lines of those people where you're like, "Ooh, I would hate to have their job in certain situations." Yeah, those people definitely deserve all the credit. Think about a firefighter. Think about a policeman. You know what I'm saying? They do things that you would not even dare do. So, what most of us wouldn't, anyways. Is that what you're getting at
Yeah.
as far as asking my opinion?
Yeah, I wanted your opinion because mine is completely different. And I
Go
think
ahead.
that
Yeah.
what that says to me is public service jobs don't pay. That's
Nope,
what
they
that tells
don't.
me. Number one, they don't pay. It also tells me that I have to, if I want to receive forgiveness on my loan, that I have to do a sentence, a prison sentence
Basically,
for
like
10
community
years. I
service.
have
Yeah.
I had to do I had to do a bid for 10 years
Yeah.
to get that reduced. That sounds like, and I'm somebody, I've had these jobs. There's no way I'll make it 10 years of public service. There's no way. So that
I
tells
mean,
me that,
I did myself, so I agree with you.
yeah, so that's a broken system. So I think if you're someone, not to say the jobs are essential, they serve a purpose. But if that's the track you want to go on, you need to have another source of income. Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Like no, there's no, I don't think that should even be negotiable because I work with those, I've had the job. I work with those people that struggle to pay, cover a lot of things financially. No, like I'm not doing that because it doesn't pay.
And
But
truth being told, most of those people that I work with have side hustles, whether they
yeah,
do like tutoring or they do some type of like sport, extracurricular sport where they're like teaching somebody like some kind of skill set for something. Like most of these people do have second jobs or side hustles going on.
yeah. And I think that if we understand that going into it, if you understand that, then it's not as much of a burden if you really want to commit your career, like your life to that. But those jobs are stressful depending on what you're doing. So listen, if you're doing public service, like I say there needs to be a national holiday for those folks, but you can have that and you can see me volunteering, but I won't be working there unless it's for free on my own time.